Okay, here we are, the 16th of Iyar, Ayom Yom. In terms of scholarship and aptitude, the Chassid of Elia Abela, he was a Chassid of the Rebbe Maharash, was a simple man. Once, when he came into Yechidus, my grandfather, that's the Rebbe Maharash, said to him, Elia, I envy you. You travel to various fairs. And you see this is business stuff, so you could translate it in today's language as sort of trade shows, where you see a lot of people engaged in each looking at each other's wares and transacting business. So you travel to various fairs. You meet many people. And when in the middle of doing business, you get caught up in a discussion with someone on a Jewish saying, a saying from the Ayin Yaakov, etc., and you inspire him to study Nigla, Talmud Halacha, and Hasidus, then this causes joy on high. And the Almighty rewards such trade, such business, with the blessings of children, health, and sustenance. The larger the fair, the more work there is, and the greater the livelihood earned. So maybe this is one of the ways so we can talk about the origin of Hafatza in the public domain. Bringing it to, the more people you bring it to, the greater the joy on high and the greater the blessing to us down here who are doing it. Lessons in Tanya. Page 715, the bottom of the page. And page Sameches, down from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th line. So we are here we've introduced the paradoxical existence of Hashem. What's paradoxical? On the one hand, he is invested in and he is the life of everything. And on the other hand, he creates a reality in which we don't see that at all. In other words, the reality in front of my face right now, things on the table, are objects. I'm not looking at God, I'm looking at objects. And objects are multiple, even on this little table. Hashem creates multiplicity, even though he is the ultimate in singularity. So that's a simple expression of the paradox. Hashem echad, Hashem is one, Hashem is unique, ein od milvado, there is nothing besides him, and at the same time, there are many things, and not just one thing, a multifarious, infinite number of singular things. And we learned yesterday that the expression of that paradox, that he can be both everything and nothing, meaning all things and nothing in relation to things. Ayin, he can be an ayin and a yesh. That's another way of expressing it. Yesh and ayin, he can be both. Is a function of two different levels of godliness. One is his soiviv kol almim, his all-encompassingness of all worlds, in which he is equally present in every little subatomic particle as he is in the greatest extent of galaxies. But his soiviv, we don't see that. The function, we learned a couple of definitions, attributes, let's say, of soiviv kol almim yesterday. It's hidden. When we speak about soiviv, it's nelam, it's concealed. Whereas the other function, soiviv is one, the other function is mamali kol almim. He fills all worlds, and there godliness is revealed. So that's where we came from yesterday. And this structure, which we call Mamali Kolalmi, that he fills all worlds, is a function of what's called the tzimtzum, the contraction, the condensation. If you look at it in terms of let's say, a light beam that beams out and then fans out into multiple rays. There's the beam and there's the rays. The metaphor isn't 100% good because you can see the beam, but underneath, let's take the beam as an underlying structure that's concealed and you don't see it, but what you do see is the rays that are coming out of the beam. And those rays that are coming out of the beam are a function of what's called the tzimtzum. And that's what we introduced yesterday. And we said, the last thing we said yesterday is that the main light and the vessel of the tzimtzum is the multiplicity, and the makif, or the soivev, is the singularity, and both are happening at the same time. So today, we'll start. The hamashal b'zeh, a metaphor for this, this earth, this physical earth, hagashmius, this physical earth, even though the whole earth is full of his glory, and the glory his covered is called the Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu. I know the Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu. The earth and everything in it is filled with the infinite light of Hashem. May he be blessed. The Mashikosav, as is written in Pasuk in Yirmiyahu, it's written, isn't it true that the heavens and the earth I fill? And here we mean equally. He fills them all equally. Nevertheless, that's another word we picked up yesterday, hislabshus. When we use the word hislabshus, generally, it refers to mamalik olalmi. Though he fills all worlds, right? We just said that. Nevertheless, he's not enclosed. That infinite light is not enclosed. It hasn't become a garment, something particularized yet within it, within the worlds. That or hasoivev, that's the or we're just referring to when he says, I fill everything, is not in a manner of revelation of that flow of allness. What you do see, at least, you don't even see this following, which is the Or Mamali. You see the manifestation of the Or Mamali, that a thing is alive and moving, that a plant grows, that we have chayus within us, is a sign that there's a life force within us. And the physical body is a fairly good mashal for this, that there is a life force in every, I always refer to a subatomic particle, every piece of tissue that's in our body, there's a life force in it. It's the same life force. It's the life force. However, it manifests differently in each and every limb. So that itself is a mashal. There's an Or HaSoivev, an all-encompassing, all-penetrating, all-equal light within each of our human bodies. And it manifests in 613 general body parts, which is mamale. So this light, that general light, we don't see it. And it's there, however, bechinas daimim v'tzameach, and it enlivens things. And what we see is only, here's a piece of dirt, and here's a plant. And the entire light in the level that we call Ein Sof Baruch Hu, when we're speaking about that level, that there's no end, and also there's no beginning, and there's no definition, Nikra Soivev. It's called Soivev Oleha. It's called encompassing upon it. But he's going to tell us now, don't understand this word upon it, meaning hovering above it or just on top. It penetrates everything equally. So here's the language. It's called Soivev Oleha. It's called encompassing over it, even though it's mamish within it. And we call it Soivev, not because it's not penetrating every single aspect of reality, but because it's not revealed. She'ein hashpasa misgalis bo yoser, and it's not more revealed. Rak mashpia bo b'chinas hester v'helen. And again, these are the two key words. Again, we call it soivev, which could connote above, like a circle, which is not touching anything. However, it's not. It's invested in everything, but it's in a manner of hester v'helen, concealment and covering over. V'chol hashpo shebebechinas hester, and here's the generality. Any flow of godly energy which is in a category, a level which we call hester, concealment, nikra makif milamayla. It's called literally hovering from above. But again, I don't know how many times I'm saying this, but it's important. Don't think of it as hovering above in the sense of not touching, like a helicopter hovering above the earth. This hovering above means that it's invested in everything, but it's just concealed. And that's milamayla, from above, from a level so high, so deep, that it can't be revealed. Ki alma diskasia, because the hidden worlds, hulamayla mimbedraga me alma diskalia, as he says, the hidden worlds, they're deeper, they're higher. Actually, high and low we don't really have words for this, so the word is higher. But higher and low imply one thing is up and one thing is down. Soiviv is not up or down. Soiviv is everything, meaning it's at a deeper level. And I pretty much consistently translate Lamaila as deeper. The Olma Diskasya, Bechinas Lamaila b'medrega. It's higher in level, Alma Diskalia, than the revealed worlds. Okay, now he's going to give a mashal. To bring this closer to our understanding, Huderach mashal. He's bringing a mashal. Okay, a person, close your eyes and imagine you're seeing something, picture something in your mind, something that you saw, or it could be your eyes are open and you're actually seeing it, but it's leaving some kind of an imprint on your brain. Even though the essence of this thing and all of its thickness and its dimensionality, its breadth, its width, its content, the toich and everything that's inside of it, if you're doing this with your eyes closed, you're imagining, let's say, a ball. You see the periphery of the ball, and you see the roundness and the whole thickness of the ball. So you're looking at it, and that imprint is on your brain. And that's mitzayir b'daitoi, that's being formed in your das, in your mindful quality, umachshavtoi, in your thought. Either you saw it, kula or you're seeing it now. So we call this impression that's in your brain, in your das, makefesodover. It's encompassing the thing. You're containing it in your brain, in your mind. It's makefes hadavar hukula. You got your head around it. Your mind is around it. Right? You think, get your head around this. But that's usually about a concept. But here we're talking about a thing. So your head is around it. Its fullness is there as some kind of imprint in your brain. And the thing itself is being encompassed by your brain when you're taking a look at it or you're imagining it and your thought. But your thought, your brain, is not surrounding it physically, right? We're using it in a non-literal way. I've got it in my head. I see it, but you're not seeing. It's not that seeing that you're doing in your brain is not out there functioning and touching the object itself. It's just in the image quality of the thought of the person and the das of the person. So that's a mashal. However, a mashal, like any mashal, is not 100% there, but that's the mashal. Aval HaKodesh Baruch Hu. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, and here's the difference. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He. And by the way, we've said this many times, but HaKodesh means the realm of Soivev, and Baruch Hu means drawn down. So in those two words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have the notion of the Or HaSoive being drawn down into the Mamale, even though the Mamale doesn't make it visible, but it's there embedded in it. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gesib that it's written concerning him, it's a pasuk in Yeshayahu, in Isaiah, Kilei machshavosai machshavosechem. My thoughts are not your thoughts. So this little exercise that we just did is a metaphor for this, but it's not exactly the same, because God says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. So in God's case, hare machshavtoi, so his thought, vedaitoi, and his knowledge of the thing, she'edea kol hanivroim, which he knows all of everything, is actually makefes kol nivra, benivra, is actually encompassing, as we say, embedded in it, in a way that's hidden and undiscernible. His thought is actually makefes kol nivra, benivra, maroishay ve'adrag tachtiyusay, from its head to toe, from top to bottom, v'toichoy, and thorough, and penetrates and permeates every single aspect and every single molecule of that thing, the toichoy, and within it, in every little nook and cranny of whatever exists. Hakol bepoil mamish, everything in actuality. He is actually in everything equally, and he's actually in everything differentially at the same time. Soivev umamale. That's today's Tanya. So this is the paradox. And he, as I said yesterday, one of the fundamental ways that I keep this in mind, and it's expressed in Kabbalah, is that the Kabbalah expresses about Hashem, noise hafachim. He's the one who's able to carry opposites. He can be hidden and revealed. He can be there and not there, but always there. Okay, comments, questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
What this
Go ahead.
reminds me of is the extent of hashgacha pratis, because sometimes there's an argument among people to what extent Hashem is, controlling every atom and every neuron, etc.
Nancy,
Oops, sorry.
FaceTime audio.
What? What was the other thing?
Sorry. No, that's the question about how.
Yeah, good.
How.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So this speaks to that very directly.
Exactly. Very much. Here, there, and everywhere.
The other extreme, of course, is the watchmaker theory. Hashem created the world and let it go.
Yeah, that's the deism, but that's not the fact, right?
Right.
That was a point of view.
This is very specific to respond to somebody who says there's hashgacha pratis, but it's not on what I ate for breakfast, or it's not on
right
parking place or whatever.
But it is. Yes. Rosa is on the phone. Yesterday she was reluctant to sing this song. Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is really everywhere. Up, up, down, down, here, there, all around. Here, there, and everywhere. That's where he can be found. That's the song. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
Hi.
Who?
So when we just say Hashem, we're not distinguishing between Mamale or Makif. We're right now we're drawing the distinction, but it's all one anyway.
Yes.
That's in a way even harder to I'll use the word encompass again than it is to make the distinction, because to us it's a contradiction.
So it's, as I said earlier, this is a quantum expression, meaning quantum, that it's both at the same time. And you're right. That means it's hard to distinguish, because there really is no distinction. It's both at the same time. Yet we talk about both. And by the way, also technically, when we speak about Yud K Vav K, and we use that word, and we call it Hashem, that technically is all Mamale, because you've probably come across this before. Yud is Chochmah, Hey is Bina, Vav is the 6 meters, and Malchus. And that's all expressive of Mamale.
So, but the point of the Mamale and the Sovev is really to the understanding of how the infinite becomes finite, basically.
Yes.
I mean, it's a what can we say? It's an abstract mechanism or conceptual mechanism for us to comprehend the gap, or how the gap closes somehow.
Yeah, how the gap closes, to live with paradox, and to just know that it is paradox, and therefore paradox in our world remains paradox. On his level, there is no contradiction, and know that that's the ultimate state of all of reality.
And that's where it comes back to his thoughts are not like our thoughts.
Yeah, his thoughts are not like
his methods are not, it's comprehensible, and they're not.
Nothing is hidden from him.
We try, but
I mean, Chazal tell us, nothing is hidden from him. Yet he, in his very essence, is hidden from him, from us. Excuse me. He, in his very essence, is hidden from us. But the main point, as you're saying, I think, is that to know that it's here, that the infinite, which is unfathomable, unseeable, undifferentiable, is right here in every single detail of creation. And therefore, everything you touch, and particularly, of course, everything you touch with, as our Yomim says, with a teaching, with a communication of Torah, and with a mitzvah, we could paraphrase now and say what you said in the Yom Yom. It creates a great effusion up above. Where? In the essence of God himself. Because that essence is in everything you touch, and every interaction you make, and every relationship you have is the opportunity to bring Soivev into Mamale.
Could you say that again? That bringing
everything you touch,
Mamale?
everything you feel, everything you have to deal with, when you do it in a Torah context, is an opportunity to bring more effusion of Soivev into Mamale, more effusion of God's essence into the details. That's basically what I'm saying. And that's a huge bechein. I mean, on the one hand, we can, in these conversations, the beauty of these little conversations we have, I think, is it gets us to the bechein. We could have learned this page just as a topic in Chassidus, right? Soivev Mamale. Good topic in Chassidus. But the point is, what's the point? The point is that everything you touch is filled with Soivev and is expressing Mamale, and those things of the mitzvahs allow that union to be further, as they use the language in the Yom Yom, drawn down. It creates great joy up above when you touch the physical details with holiness, which is holiness is Soivev, with mitzvahs. You could read that to me, who draws down Akeshanu, who brings down the level of Kaddish and separateness, which is Soivev, b'mitzvosov, in each and every one of the physical and mental and speaking and touching things we do with mitzvahs. We're I can't say empowering. We're giving more power to the connection, that paradoxical, amazing connection between the finite and the infinite, the Soivev and the Mamale, each time we use a situation or an object for a mitzvah. Someone has a hand up. Reza?
Yeah, it's Reza. I thank you for mentioning what I had said, that I learned from Rabbi Goldstein, this song, Rabbi Yosef Goldstein. Right. I about Hashem is here. I think what we're today, what I realized that we were talking about, which sometimes we, because we live in a world that is limitation, we need to mind it, and it's only by learning time minded that the infinite is always, it's concealed, and yet it's always there.
There.
The
Concealed
infinite
and
is
always
always there. It's not
So
two separate things.
That's good.
That's
It's concealed and always
so
there.
What you
mm-hmm. Go.
So I feel so
you are breaking up a lot, by the way, Rosa. It's hard to
like there's no such thing.
Rosa, we're going to have to do. It's wherever you are. The words are dropping every couple of words, but I think we got it. Everything we touch, everything we feel, is full of the infinite. Okay.
I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the music's coming in through the window from Maroon.
I can't hear it now. It'll be nice.
I thought you might.
All right. Anybody else? Who else? Somebody whose iPhone.
Oh, it's Chayanka.
Chayanka. Yeah.
And then I always grapple with how much of it do we really have choice? Because if everything's sort of a mamale, Hashem is really controlling everything, and how much knows what our choices will be and the ripples.
That's another paradox. He is and he isn't. And that's where the isn't part is where the free choice comes in. Free choice is not comprehensible, really, because of what you say. But in other words, for our perspective, it's a paradox. Huh? It's got to be one. If he's controlling everything, well, we've said it. So where's free choice? Well, there is free choice. We want to get a treatise on that. We could talk about that. That's another shiur.
Right.
It's discussed a lot in Chassidus. But we'll just take it now at face value, which is we're on a page in Tanya, a place in Tanya, talking about paradox and how he resolves the paradox. By us, it stays paradoxical. We can, no matter what we're going to say about it, there is free choice, and he is in charge of everything.
Yeah, it's better to leave it at that because we're not going to resolve it.
We'll leave it at that, and we can talk about it, maybe some other time at length. But we'll leave it at that. But free choice is, how? I don't get it. All right. Anybody else? Baruch Hashem, we have a nice good group here today. Okay. Then I think we'll touch and go. Okay? See you tomorrow. Yimir Hashem.